Replaying your words there in my head. When you're not here, I'm stuck in bed. I'm starting to break. I'm starting to break. I'm starting to break down. Watch all of the bullets fall to the ground. You took a shot and I'm yours now. But I'm starting to break. I'm starting to break down, break down, break down, break down. Could be the one now.
Feel this tide choke my neck and I just wonder why I'm buried in a suit I'd never buy, a suit I'd never buy. Cufflinks on my wrist, I can't act surprised when the shovels hit dirt in the earth. Did they start to cry? hard to escape. When you're walking on the moon, chase your happy place. It will change your groove. When you're dancing on the moon, dancing on the moon. When we dance again, all our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel when you take me to some levels that I've never been. When we dance again, all our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel when you take me to some places that I've never been. When we dance again, that I've never been, that I've never been, that I've never, ever, never, ever, never been.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Null League of Legends here on a Wednesday evening. I'm Stanley Greyheart Barker and I am joined by the Neo to my Morpheus. It's Alex Nomera Hapgood.
I take the blue pill today to join you and go further down this one rabbit hole to see how close the Newell really gets. 2 rounds left, a lot to play for.
It's going to be mighty close. We've got 2 action-packed games tonight, which will probably help us discover who are going to be our top couple of seeds coming into the knockout part of this Varsity tournament. However, we're going to take a little look in a moment at just how close things are towards the lower half of the table, because we've got 12 teams in this draw, and there are still 10 teams in competition for only 8 places.
And it's getting close. We have something like 4 teams tied at the same game score, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the ones just above them, as you can see, Grey Warwick and Careless even, are out of the fire just yet. The heat's being turned up ever so slightly, and it will be even more so before this night is done.
Well, looking there towards the top of the table, you see 4 teams: DMU, T1, Surrey Stags, Cabbage Family, and Bristol Whipped. All of them came into this week on 7 wins and 2 losses apiece. DMU, T1 already able to claim themselves an extra victory, pushing themselves up to 8-2. All 4 of those teams are 100% locked in for our final 8. However, the better they do, the better chance they've got of facing one of these lower seeded teams when we come towards our double elimination bracket. So they want to be as close to number 1 as they possibly can, and we'll be seeing some of their games later on. As we get down towards the bottom end of the table, which is going to totally come back in a minute, isn't it wonderful production? We see Lincoln Ascended and SKT, who are there on 406 and 405 respectively. Just below them, Heartstuck and Robin's Cringers also at 405, so they're essentially tied up with those 2 teams. If anything, arguably in a better place, because Lincoln Ascended have that extra game already played. Thank you,
Yes.
Patrick. You're wonderful as always.
As you stand, running through everything very succinctly. Of course, where does that leave us? It leaves us with a lot of anxiety to get through for these players, their fans, and for everyone that has a vested interest in this. Because this can literally go down to the last Nexus falling.
It's not a vested interest, it's a waistcoat.
Well, I am wearing neither a vest nor a waistcoat. I'm wearing a shirt, Stan. If anyone else has a shirted interest in the Newell standings towards the end tonight, it will still be a lot of anxiety and a lot of drama, and of course a lot to play for. Because these, particularly now that we of course have this double elimination bracket coming through and such a high level of competition where all of the teams have taken games off of each other, we have. So, well, no one's coming in undefeated. It's a best-of-1 single round robin, so these teams haven't had a chance to get 2-0s, 1-1s, or try and get their own back against these teams. We've had the proof of concept that any team in Varsity can potentially take any game off any other one team.
And what a couple of games we have got tonight. You can see just above us, we've got Surrey Stags going up against Careless. First of all, we've not got to follow Surrey Stags on stream, I believe, since the first week.
Certainly for us.
Yeah, certainly myself and yourself, that's true. And they had a bit of a rough game there. We saw them get kind of giga stomped, so they're going to want to reverse those fortunes going up against Careless now. Towards the end of the night, we're going to be following that team who are currently lying at 8-2 at the top of the table, DMUT1, as they look to continue that push for the first place. However, the team standing in their way is Cabbage Family, a team with exceptional amounts of rivalry.
We will have a lot of talks about narratives and, well, as much as we can do in Duel, because this is one to really follow, because that is a rematch of the finals of last split of Winter. Of course, DMU snagged themselves the Duel representative slot. 5-game series, 2 pentakills, 1 aside, so we will return to that and bring you all of the context with it. Of course, this one in front of us, we've got 2 teams where Kellis are looking to tie up Surrey Stags, and it would be 7-3 if they were to win that. And Kellis have got themselves some hard matchups tonight, and they need to stick the landing, because otherwise you are going to get out of those preferential seedings coming into playoffs, and they want to make sure that they, again, can take games off of these top teams who are at the 7-8 win mark.
We're going to bring you into the action on that first game just as quickly as we can, as since those players get towards champ select. However, you're just touching there on the fact they need to stick the landing, make sure they get one of those top places secured, Alex. There is a world where if results go sort of completely like the opposite of a winning lottery ticket for KLS, I think they could potentially even find themselves completely missing out. It's very close. We're trying to do the maths beforehand, and they may be safe, they may not be. Either way, they've got to try and get at least one win tonight to secure it, I think.
So they would need to be overtaken by, I think it is 3 teams coming into tonight. One of them would have to be Grey Warwick, because they're currently only 1 game behind them. So if Grey Warwick were to go 2-0, they could potentially knock down KLS. And this is assuming that, of course, they don't win anything themselves. Then we would need 2 of Lincoln Ascended, ES, SKT, Heartstuck, and Robbers Cringers to make up those 2 games again. Lincoln have already played one of their games. They are unable to do that. So it leaves you with 3 teams needing to pick up 2 wins and then tie up KLS and then manage to leapfrog them in some kind of tiebreaker metric. And that's it. I'm not sure if it's mathematically possible, but if it is, it's the needle in the haystack. Is trying to, thread the needle as well. It's very difficult for them to get out, but the chance is not 0. That should scare them.
Yeah, at that point, you just got to go out and make sure that you do everything you can. Don't rely on the results around you. And looking just towards the fixtures over on my side at the moment, I see Robbers Cringers actually face off against ESSKT, so at least one of those teams is dropping a game there. So realistically, I think we are looking at KLS being safe, but safe might not be good enough. Safe might mean that you end up against one of the toughest teams coming into the double elimination. You put your chances of going all the way to the final in jeopardy straight away. I'm hearing that we are going to have the opportunity to get into champ select very soon, so let's start thinking about what this matchup means. Surrey Stags against KLS.
So KLS came in on the first week with a 3-0 record. One of them was a bye, of course, so they didn't have all 3 games played, but they immediately won their first game of the next week, 2, and they ended up finishing the first 2 weeks at 4-1 altogether, very much at the top of the standings. They'd taken down DMUT1 on stream, I believe it was, in our first week too. Really led in with that sucker punch and said, we're here to play. We don't care that we came through the Varsity qualification bracket, and we didn't have to come through those prize playoffs. They came in and they had a lot to be said about themselves. This team, which is very fiery, very skirmish heavy, even though they don't have so much of a rigorous coaching setup or scrim culture. Surrey Stags on the other side of things, a team which I believe you've followed for a little while and cast a number of times. They coming in with actually a more strong back end compared to KLS and what they've managed to achieve in that same part of the split. So what KLS are now trying to say is actually, yeah, we need to make sure we can keep up this skirmish, heavy roll with the punches style and take down another one of these top teams to make sure that, yeah, they are going to get that preferential seeding coming into the playoff bracket.
You have a few really fun stats that you were sharing with me before the broadcast, which I'm looking forward to bringing both of us get into Champ Select and into game. We'll hold on to some of those golden nuggets just for a moment, however, as we sort of look a little bit more broadly towards the Rift. Is there a particular lane or interaction that we're looking towards maybe being the highlight of this match?
For me, it's actually in the jungle, and the way that it seems like we've got two opposing philosophies in some ways for what these junglers do.
Kenmar and Trilip?
Kenmar and Trilip, yes. So Trilip coming in for Callus has the highest kill participation of any Varsity player at 15 minutes. 90% of the kills that his team have been involved in it. That is absurd. In some ways, it's kind of like the Fellowship of the Rift for KLS, where you have Aragorn of the Black Gate drawing the Eye of Sauron away from the mid lane of Fallen Rain, who just scales up on all of his control mages, while Trilip is doing something in and around the map, and then Ernst kind of comes around with his huge 1v1 playstyle as well to allow the baton passing to happen between their various team members and where they're carrying within states of the games. Like the early game, okay, we're going to go give that to Trilip, who's played a lot of Lilia, farms early, gets ahead, gets up in the face of the enemy jungler, and then hands it off to various members. On the other side, though, Kenma is a player with the highest gold efficiency of any player in the league. What does that mean? He does more damage per gold he is given than anyone else currently in the Newell Varsity bracket. I think he's actually tied with Otter from Lincoln Ascended, mid laner there. This is kind of caveated by the fact that he's been playing Karthus, been playing Lilia. Again, two high damage champions, but then you look over at Trials and you think, oh, that's 5 Lilia games too. The thing with the gold efficiency, though, means that it can't just be that you're farming well. It can't just be that you're getting funneled well. It means that you have to be doing something with that lead too. And Canma, throughout the 9 games they've played so far, has been expertly doing so. The question is, can KLS, draw the IOA long enough to scale up in their own picks before Canma does it himself?
You've dropped your stat bombs now, Nymera. I like them both in regards to those junglers. My question to you is, which of those stats do you consider to be more valuable? Your kill participation pre-15 or your gold efficiency in relation to damage?
So the thing about Careless is that they're a team that will just continually fight. They don't really take a breather. Again, we saw that on stream when we've had them multiple times on stream now. They're a very fun team to watch. And I'm looking at Kenmur and saying, okay, gold efficiency. So you're playing damage champions, getting a lot of gold on them, and then doing a lot of damage with those same champions. Can you do that if you've been, put 0 and 2 by the skirmish style, playing through top side of Ernst and Trilip, who are two very strong individual players? Or will the rest of their team manage to prop up their early game in the face of that and allow you to survive through to the point where you have been so effective? This is why it's like, in terms of which one is more valuable, which one is more, efficient in this matchup, well, more important in this matchup. It's kind of hard because they're trying to show different sides of the coin. It's one, can you stamp out Kenma early enough, or can Kenma get to a point where it actually doesn't matter what happened in the early game?
As I'm sure you know as a fellow caster, there are words, certain phrases that I'm trying to cut out of my vocabulary from using them quite as much. One of those sets of words, time will tell. I seem to say it every cast roughly 8 million times. I will say it once now, however, because I do believe it is an appropriate moment in this game. Time will tell which of those stats will come out the most useful and which of the players is actually able to keep those stats the best, because it feels like quite entirely possible that not both of them will be able to keep those stats up quite so well coming into the game. I'm hearing from our fantastic production. That is, of course, the wonderful, inimitable Patrick Pants Campbell. Go follow him at Prod Campbell on is it Prod Patrick? Prod Patrick on Twitter. Man deserves all the follows in the world. It is really hard to remember. So he's just let me know that Kenma is playing, but has had a name change. Will be going by 3rd now. I'm sure they're hoping they finish better than 3rd in the table, though.
Yeah, and I look at this team, I look at what they brought out, and there is that chance. I mean, we saw Sorry Stags get a bit rolled versus Bristol Whipped when we saw them very first game that was streamed on this channel way back those weeks ago. And from speaking to the captains, they're saying, yeah, probably wouldn't like that to happen again. That'd be nice, which is fair. I mean, there is something to be said about just kind of bucking up after having one of those losses. We're like, okay, my bad, we got a bit rolled in lane, and coming back stronger. And I mean, they certainly have, right? 7 and 2. One of their 2 losses being that one is saying, all right, we won't.
Which was literally first week as well. Potential
very first game, very first game coming in, and that could have been such a mental block for this team if they're like, oh gosh, we're on, you know, we've lost the, you know, this team, we can't go undefeated anymore. And then you look at the results coming in week after week, but they've just chugged along, keep getting wins. I mean, they won versus Cabbage Family, right? Second place team from that last split. Yes, you know, they lost versus DMU2, who were, you know, our reigning champions coming into this split, but they've traded wins versus a lot of the top teams coming in here. They're looking to trade another win and hope, well, not even trade, you know, just take that for themselves against KLS, who have been becoming more and more of a team to watch within the Newell ecosystem, and to get, you know, to pick up this win would be really huge for their chances going further forward.
Going back as we come into picks and bans to top laner Hurry, who you're just talking about there. One of the nice things about getting multiple games across this stream in the first week and now in the last week of the regular part of the split is that we've almost been able to set Hurry up with this perfect redemption angle. He can come in. We've done everything to set him up for that, but it's down to him to perform that way and to really come through. Got to be tough up against Ernx though, and that's why we're immediately seeing a top lane Camille ban.
I think the Camille is a huge pick for KLS. I think particularly the Camille and actually the Gangplank perform an important role in KLS's comp in terms of these can follow up on engages from very long range away, right? You immediately press the cannon barrage. You immediately go with the hook shot. If you're trying to follow up on engages and do this very frenetic, aggressive style that KLS have pioneered during the split, those two picks have been important to them. Ernx, in fact, has only played 3 champions so far that have been the Camille, Fiora, and the Gangplank. 2 of them banned, Gangplank left standing. The question is Huria going to want to face that Gangplank? He says, I don't care about that for now. It's the Seraphine taken away.
Yeah, it's not something that we usually see picked up that early. However, with a couple of bans already targeted against Ernx, maybe that will change. A champion, you were speaking about how strong it is right now. We're seeing so many people picking it up. The Rel, that has been taken away from Easy Game GG.
So this is Easy Game's most played champion at 3 games played. Easy Game GG is an AD carry turned support. And what that means is that often your champion pool is not quite as versatile as a number of other picks. That got as a takeaway from Huria, who that's kind of one of his like side picks. You know, he plays a lot of tanks and then occasionally pulls out the Urgot. Did that in our game 1 on that stream, in fact. Didn't go so well for them, but it's still a pick to say, all right, maybe not picking whatever we want in that top lane there. Anyway, going back to this whole Rel thing, a lot of supports, even if, you know, support is not mainly in role, have found success on Rel. Very strong kit, gives you all the go buttons to go in and set up for teamfight success for your team. Taken away from Easy Game GG, looking towards that Leona and Alistair next in terms of those engaged supports, but are they as comfortable on it? Well, time will tell, Stan.
Now it's you who has to give yourself like a little clap on the back of the head and say, no, stop saying that. We are seeing the Udyr locked in. We're still living in a world where he's in a pretty strong place as jungler. Something we're not seeing quite as much, but certainly I associate with Trilip a lot would be that Nidalee.
First pick this split, but Nidalee, for Trilip, as you were saying, I think between Trilip and heavy dubstep, probably looking at Porp too from the side of Cabbage Family, we have really good Nidalee players in the UK university scene. You have to be afraid of it. Now the question is, okay, Nidalee loves playing topside with the CC top laner. What are you going to do if you lock in something like Renekton? I know it's not necessarily something that Ernx has played so far, but Huria, who's, you know, used to playing kind of sit back, safe tank duty in that top side, you don't really get an option versus that kind of lane duo.
It does feel like Renekton would fit into the playstyle we associate with Ernx. We're seeing this Lucian locked in. That is, of course, the flex potential. Fallen Rain, Ali K, both able to secure this one. I'm interested to see what we're going to find the ADC of the Surrey Stags picking up. Interesting fact about Lamborghini, he's actually the #1 rated ADC in the Newell, who is named after both a league champion and a car.
Is that the one stat you've got for me?
Tell me I'm wrong.
I wish I could, but sadly, such things are beyond me. Azir locked in for Sorry Stags. Azir is a very strong champion right now. Going back to, okay, I've got to take it down to some level back to the game at hand, right? Azir is a champion which can control mid lane versus even some power picks like Twisted Fate, which is a very strong laner as well, a very strong champion within the mid lane right now. Gives you playmaking opportunity, gives you the ability to really start scaling up while still having early game prio in jungle matchups which are competitive. Jax is locked in from Ernx. This is not a pick we've seen from again this split, but it is still in that same vein of going, right, I will 1v1 you on top side. It has that stun as well from the counter-strike, and so that means that Nidalee Jax, well, it's not the typical pairing we'd see towards the top lane to get that jungler snowballing. It's still a CC into that split.
Alex, how many times have we seen, hundreds I would like to guess, jungler ADC support be the early pickups through pick and ban? All of a sudden it seems like all of the attention's been turned to jungle, mid and top. There's a little bit of flex potential, but realistically that's probably what we are seeing. Now as a result, we're starting to see the ADC bans. We're going to probably see some support bans coming in. The Jhin taken away from the man who has that in his name. That's always a good move, as I Throw Axes is still wanting to remind us of.
So fun thing. So Ali K, who has gone through many name changes themselves, used to be Bot Khan, Bot Ali, Buttercup as well, coming back with a new name for this game in particular, has role swapped to mid to play this champion for this team. We've often seen Fallen Rain go down to the bot lane and play Senna or something like that instead. Well, you allow this Ali K, who is a bit of a Lucian specialist, loves that dueling style of that champion. Maybe allow that to go into the mid lane. Lucian can do well versus Azir. I think that Azir is strong right now. I don't think it's an out-and-out counter, but if you solo kill in that mid lane, you start denying that Azir the early pressure that they get in so many matchups, it is important.
Alex, you're 100% right, and we will come back to that point. I promise you, keep it in mind. However, a thought, with Ali K having come off the back of name changes, they could change their name to Maseratimo, and then they could like vie off with Lamborghini for number one ADC name.
Well, unfortunately, Pharrell has been banned this game too.
That's
so
a push. You're really stretching it now, Alex. Mine is up down here somewhere, okay? But yours is on the floor. It's burying a hole.
There is no barrel for that to be the bottom of. We've dug way past that.
No, we haven't had the Gangplank pick this time.
Not this time. Okay, I'm surprised that Callus gave up the Senna so easily, actually, because I think that having Senna when you do play... Well, so this is the problem. Callus have a very skirmish-heavy style. You're playing that into two globals now. Senna, ult, Shen. I thought that actually coming into this game, having Hurrier on stuff like Shen, having third, or obviously previously Kenma, coming in on something like, you know, that Karthus or whatever, was really important, because that global ability to respond to whatever aggressive players that Callus might have come out with. They have themselves the center. It's not going to be from the jungle, it's going to be from the AD carry, but the top lane too. And I'm looking at Callus, and now suddenly they have to be a lot more cautious, or in terms of when they're going for those plays, to make sure that they're not just throwing away things to the winds and going to get countered by those globals.
One last pick coming in. The Twisted Fate locked in, most likely for Fallen Rain, which means we're probably seeing Ali K on this Lucian, a hyper-aggressive bot lane going to come in with that pairing. Over on the other side, we've got the Black Mist duo of Senna and Thresh. I'm expecting us not to see the the fasting Senna this time round.
Not with the Thresh. Thresh is not a champion that gains much from farming, because when you go for something like a Maokai or Tahm Kench, when you build up to those first tank mythics and whatever else you may want, you become quite tanky, and particularly in the case of Tahm Kench, allows you to get extra experience because you're the one that's farming. Senna's the one that's roaming about a bit more, not caring about being at the wave at all times. You can get to the second rank of your ultimate. That means that your ultimate has expanded range. Thresh doesn't really have interactions like that, so I would expect this to be a lot of gold onto the Senna. The bonus of this is that Fasting Senna has been nerfed somewhat because of the extra crit value you get from those souls. If it goes over 100%, once you build up to that Rage Blade, well, Rage Blade doesn't give you extra damage on hit if you go past 100% critical strike chance now. That interaction has been removed. It means that the upper end of Senna's on hit with that item has also been nerfed with it. Whereas if you're farming and you're kind of not getting so many soul stacks, your 2-item spike is still very, very strong in this champion, and you get to use those ADC items pretty effectively.
Okay, well, coming into the game, both of the teams, we know where they are in the standings. We see in front of us what they've drafted. Nymera. It's everybody's favourite time of the week. It's Nymera messes up the predictions. Who's coming away with the win here?
So, I look at the mass amount of globals coming through here, and I think, okay, who's going to benefit from that most diving side lanes? I think that Callus having a Jax is so disgusting, because you're going to run up there with the Ude, he's going to counter-strike you, and if you do go in with a taunt from Shen or whatever, well, TF is there to roam. I think that as long as Senna and Thresh don't get out of hand, this is looking pretty great for Callus. I think they have the options to set up that 1v1 top lane, who is so often broken in games just in half, just over their laning pressure. It's been set up to do that again.
You're not, you're not mistaken there. I have to say, I'm edging towards what can come out of this early game effectiveness. That's that the word. Whatever it is,
Sure.
I reckon it's looking good for Careless. However, on the other side, the Surrey Stags, this is a team that we know the later the game goes, the more they're able to team fight to produce some really excellent late game potential. I mean, looking at their comp right there, they've got all sorts of ways to accomplish it. Masses of team fight, the opportunity to have side lane pressure coming in from things like the Shen. I legitimately think it's going to be a very, very close game.
No, it's not. It's not one from draft. It's not because
no,
TF.
No, it's not. Absolutely not.
TF struggles with Azir. Azir tends to push you in. That means you're going to have mid priority to play around from third. You're probably getting bot lane priority out of a Lucian lane just because your level 1, level 2 from Lucian Leona is so strong. I think that center Thresh is hard to engage onto though. You get hit by 1W and you have a Lantern to reposition. Lamborghini and Easy Game GG have a good 2v2 option available to them. I don't necessarily think that's going to lead to wave push. I think that Lucian's going to win out on that just because the power of the early piercing light now has been buffed in its base damage quite a lot over the last season or two. So now I'm looking at Trilip having options in topside, pressure in mid and bot, and then having the ability to then leave Lucian in a 1v2. He's happy to do that, I suppose, pick up farm and have the relentless pursuit to get out of the first threatening skill shot. That means that you're going to have Fallen, Rain, and Deep roaming around the map, helping out Trilip, helping out Ernst importantly too. And I look at Surrey Stags, I'm like, you have to use these globals very, very effectively, because if you use them the one time to just disengage a play, you don't have it for the next time where it's actually a threat and they kill you.
Well, I can tell you, for those of you who are interested in Twitch chat right now, you have the opportunity to put your predictions down, pop some of your Twitch channel points in, potentially, or win some back at the end of the game if your prediction is correct. Yeah, a lot of people have been losing them all lately. I can tell you, just having looked at it very quickly myself, very, very tight. 51% to 49% in favour of Surrey Stags. That has just ballooned in favour of Careless because someone has just dropped about 10k points on them. So if Careless pick up the win, then they are going to be going home a rich man if Twitch channel points can be like converted into Bitcoin or something.
The cogs are starting to turn. I'm thinking, at what point do I just dump my whole point stash into Surrey Stags? Sometimes, at some point, it'll be worth it. One day it will. But that means also opening up something on a touch screen, which I'm really... See, last time I was like, oh, I'm going to vote for that. Why have I voted 10 times? I've had a bad history with voting for Twitch polls live on air.
Oh, dear.
But, yeah. I mean, all jokes aside, I mean, it should be a close vote. It should be a close match. And again, this could be very much a playoff bracket performance too. I would love to see a best of between these two teams because of the fundamental differences in their styles. We're talking about Surrey Stags kind of doing what we thought they'd come into. Have some options, global options to the skirmishing style of KLS. Means that if you are going and having these pile-on fights in top lane, maybe they have a way of outplaying it.
I would like to take us all the way back to what we started talking about, even before Champ Select Nightmare, and talk once again about the two junglers, about Third, about Trilite, and I want to say just how not only important they are in terms of the stats that they bring, the figures that you were giving us in terms of their early game effectiveness, in terms of their damage overall in relation to gold. Those things are great, but also what they do specifically as their champions. When we look at what the Udyr and the Nidalee can do here, we know Nidalee can be something of a feast or famine champion. We're going to be looking towards it having that potential of game success, maybe through the top side of the map, maybe through aggression on the bot side with the Leona. Over onto the Udyr, it's something that has probably slightly an easier mechanic in terms of how to get it going and how to impact the lanes.
Stun, job done. Yes, I'm aware.
Exactly. But the later the game comes in, these are two champions that will be easy enough to pick off, certainly the Nidalee with a lower health bar, and if they're getting caught in crucial positions around crucial objectives, that could well end up being the deciding factor in this game. I am all about the Third versus Trilite matchup.
I am too. I think that Third would love to be going top lane, love to be doing Symphysis Jax early, and that's why they are stacking as 5 men. What do they have in terms of the level 1 CC? Depends if Senna's going to start with the W. Do you have the Thresh hook? And of course the taunt can come out. Ernst cleverly stepping up, and okay, he's going to get out, I suppose, unless the flash is committed.
Well, we will see if Easy Game GG opts into this one. Trilite completing a recall just off screen. Ernst knows they are safe. No damage done by the early invade for Surrey Stags, and they are going to lose out on a significant amount of vision towards their red side. As a result, they may even get caught out.
It's the opportunity cost. You look for something in your level 1. Yes, you have the CC. There's kill threat. You've even got an ignite coming in from the Shen. In fact, there's a heal taken by the Thresh because the cleanse picked up by Senna too. Looking out against the gold card, the counter strike, having Leona's ample amount of CC too. They missed the ward on the bot side, and their cost has been not really recuperated by. Sorry, they didn't get much for it, and they lost themselves a lot of information in the early stages of this game.
It's less about losing information and more about giving information to the opposition team. Third going for that strat we see so often, the Oracle lens picked up to start off on this jungler. The opportunity to sweep out, and you saw it miss by pixels, that ward that was put down. That ward will provide such valuable information. We know now Udyr is starting on the bot side. We know whether he's going towards Krugs or towards the Raptors on the back of it. Already, small advantages over to Careless.
Small. The question is, where does that explode, right? I mean, this can all turn around on one bad trade. I mean, we see that Azir gets the Comet, it's going towards that TF lane. TF has, I believe, gone towards that Corrupting Pot. You can go for a level 3 back with a Corrupting Potion. Just say, yeah, I'm just going to shove in like a maniac. I'm just going to use all of my cooldowns, use all of my Corrupting Pot charges, go back, get myself something like an early Doran's Ring or an Amp Tome or whatever I really need, and just refill with that Corrupting Potion and get back into lane. I don't think Azir took the same item. I think they were there with the Doran's Ring. But interesting to see how this mid lane matchup will then interact with the jungle too, because if you know that TF is trading very hard, looking for the early back, that maybe opens up some options for Udyr to get stuff done early. And of course, the early fights are where Trilop has typically succeeded. That would be the shoe on the other foot between these two teams, at least from the stats perspective.
I know in this small pause you're excited to hear how the predictions went on Twitch chat. In the end, it ended. So when I first switched over to my Twitch chat, checking it out, there was a round about 60 to 40% swing in favor of Surrey Stags. By the time the poll closed, 23% to 77% for Careless. So Careless swinging that vote well in their favor. In the end, the vote has officially, the count has been stopped, and that is going to be potentially a lot of points to be won for some people out there, because I think we had somewhere in the region of 34,000 points in total gambled over this game. Meanwhile, we'll turn our attention towards the potential gambles going on in the assorted lanes. Fallen Rain taking the earlier pain from the Azir. As you said, Ekus just looking to shove in, trying to get that damage down early.
I was, and of course I have to make a mistake because I didn't have the builds up in front of me. Yeah, it's Corrupting Potion from both mid laners. So they can both look for the same thing, trade a lot early, go for an early back, maybe use their TP if they want, or of course, either way, refilling on that Corrupting Potion stack and getting back to lane with another starter item, another laning efficient item. Aku's getting the early level 2 though. You can see how TF just doesn't really have a lot of play patterns in the early levels of the game to outplay an Azir, because you don't have enough points in your queue. You start level 1 with, of course, you pick a card, your W. Just means that you don't have the ability to both trade and clear the wave at the same time like the Azir does on the other side of that matchup.
Level 2 secured for both sets of bot laners. We could see how Ali K and Deep Deep were just completely unafraid to push forward, because they knew exactly where the Udyr was. Went down to Krugs, then walked over the ward as they walked back to Raptors. So much information gained just by that one trinket early on. Both the junglers completing the top side of their clear now, as they may look towards a gank. It's Nidalee might get the early pressure towards the Shen.
Okay, W landing on a minion from center. Azir is actually, yeah, gold card is a potential here. No cleanse, remember.
Fallen Rain wasn't able to execute on this play effectively. As a result, Trilop's gank does not work out. Ekus dashes to safety with a little Shurima shuffle.
The real thing you take away from the Azir there is a lot of mana. Level 3 combo from Azir takes like a third of your mana, which means that next time you go towards trying to trade against the Azir, well, yes, you've got Corrupting Pots to start giving you some more mana back. It's going to lose you a lot of pressure, though. That means that Ekus has had to go early over to this top skull. Okay, but Jax isn't here.
Exactly. Yeah, Huria is there, and we're already seeing some aggression. Flash goes in. Fallen Rain trying to find the kill. Trilight finds first blood, but immediately we see Third coming back and getting one return. X landing the counter strike. Double kill comes through for Ian in a 2v1. Looks like it's going in favor of Surrey Stags as Alex tries to find himself a kill. He flashes. He leaps. He gets the kill. He gets the triumph. Now Huria trying to chase down his opposition top laner. May well have the taunt available in a moment or so. Taunt's going to connect. Max damage comes through. Counter strike once more. Alex leap strikes to the ward. Gets out to safety. A mad 2-for-2 trade.
2 for 2. Udyr gets involved early. A lot of it is off that mid lane matchup, going towards the Azir, pushing in. Yes, Trilip finds an opportunity to force the Azir back a bit, but it's not enough to then give Leicester a chance to go towards that top scuttle. Top lane then gets involved, and now we're going right on the other side of the map. Trilip's in bot.
Flay goes in, but straight away, deep is there. Ali K secures the kill onto easy game. GG, Lamborghini left without a leg to stand on. Tries to roll off into the sunset, but will be sent back to the scrapyard.
Oh, no legs, only a couple of wheels left on it. Looking more like a bicycle than a supercar at this point, and that push bike is pushed all the way back to the fountain. And what would you know, Trilip gets involved in 100% of all of our kills early from Leicester. Turns out that stat's pretty good, huh?
It's a pretty damn good stat, but now let's look at the other stat. Third also managing to get a couple of kills, and that's going to be a good chunk of gold into the jungler from Surrey Stags. So if they're all of a sudden able to turn things around, maybe they get the damage down. Meanwhile, Hurrier dashes himself away, doesn't get caught out. Fallen Rain taking quite a bit of abuse from the comp.
So, Fallen Rain kind of sat here waiting for that level 6 mark and just kind of plaintively crying for the jungler I was after, like, yes, can you come help with the angry just the angry Sandman. Of course, not going to get as much help from that. Right now, he's going in maybe for another gold card play. Akus would need to shuffle out. Oh, it looks like actually, well, I mean, just as we see a couple of lost trades coming into that mid lane, we've lost the co-caster. Stan is back. Woo! I lost him for a second. I too was crying out plaintively for my support. Of course, you're not a jungler in this one. You're on my co-caster. Though Solo Queue's a little bit different for us when we do team up in that case. And we're back onto the Rift, Stan. What did you miss?
Well, probably worth asking you that question, as I didn't see it.
Well, I'll tell you what we did miss then. We saw another gold card thrown into mid lane, but actually it's level 6 onto TF, which hits.
Emperor's Divide, Shurima Shuffle, Fallen Rain will fall, and it is going to be Eku securing the kill that they so easily created in the end.
Okay, so if we're talking about efficiency is another tag word we've used a bit. We've used that in terms of damage, but in terms of gank efficiencies, third, even though it hasn't made quite as many kills as Trilip come up so far, is only involved in one less. Trilip, though, does not stop the action and goes top.
Ernst against Hurrier, but yet again, Trilip is the one putting down the damage. Hurrier trying to return a kill, but one last pounce comes in from the Kudu, and a third kill will be secured. Dragon is taken down on the other side of the Rift. Nice response coming in from third, who levels up to level 6 as this all goes down. But let's not mistake, yet again, the impact Trilip has in this match.
And another thing which is impacting this game is, yes, okay, there was a level 6 coming in, okay, well, I've got a level 4 coming in, and a level 6 from TF.
Here comes entrance into the Destiny Gate. Easy game, GG trying to escape. Ali K putting damage down. 3 versus 3. 4 versus 3 now on the back of the stand. United Fallen Rain will yet again be going back to the fountain. Joining him will be Ali K. Joining them will be Deep, but not before the turnaround comes in. Trilip gets in, Trilip gets out, gets a double kill for good measure.
3 for 2 after the dust settles. Akus now hit with another spear. So what does that mean? The play was initially top from Leicester. Dragon responded on the bot. Okay, Ernst has now had a lot of alone time on this upper tower. Hurrier, yes, gets involved with all 3 of those kills because that shield coming in from the Stand United. Gonna lose himself a fat wave to turret, lose himself 2 plates as well. If we're talking about the side lane matchup as opposed to, well, Surrey's comp and what they do in terms of responding to global players with that, well, now the Shen needs to deal with a very bad 1v1.
The kill participation, God once more. Lamborghini burning down, Trilip taking turret shots, not quite able to get the damage down with the red buff due to the potions that were ticking on the center, but Lamborghini is sent straight back to the fountain from whence they came.
Oh, Trilip, you just can't keep him from fighting. Okay, he's got camps up. In fact, his whole jungle is up right now, but his extra camps turns out to be all the different lanes, and the champion stood within them from the Stags. On the other side of things, yes, Udyr has gotten up in those farm numbers, but hasn't really fallen behind in terms of the kill participation either. Where have the real differences come up in? It's gonna be in that mid lane. TF, we said right from the start, struggles laning against the Azir, dying in that play when he uses his first ult, and that is such a good litmus test for how well a TF is doing in the early game. That first ultimate falls short, and as such, now Akus very happy with this mid lane matchup.
I raised questions towards what the late game objectives would mean if junglers got caught. However, early game objectives have all been going over to third. Yes, not quite able to secure as many kills as we've seen going over to Twilight, but already we've had the Dragon going over. Herald has just been picked up as well. It's of course way pre 14 minutes, so there'll be the opportunity to get some turret plating. However, potentially a little bit of a greedy move as Third is going to get betrayed by the Blast Cone, looking to steal away a red buff, but going deep into enemy territory. Gold card will be drawn. Flash from Third will catch him straight underneath the turret. The damage comes through. Guess who it is? It's your man Trylife again.
You can have as many bear stances as you want. Gone for the early tier 2 boots. Well, guess what? So's the Nidalee. Catches up, burns the flash, and there's a flash in the mid lane too.
Here we go again. Double Shurima shuffle straight into turret.
Oh, the outplay!
Golden stays alive, and now it's going to be the Dawning Shadow buying a little bit of shield as Akus finds 1 kill, but immediately gets it turned back by the now 7-1-2 Cougar.
Get this Nidalee and Magi's. Now at 8 stacks on the Dark Seal. I thought that center ult would turn into something truly spectacular from Sorry Stags, but there was no Stand United. Only one of the 2 globals comes through. Does lead to a 1-for-1, and Azir picks up more gold than perhaps they should have done from that situation. A deep running down with some Mobies and a teleport coming in too.
16 kills, make it 17. The teleport leads to the death of Easy Game GG, who puts down the box, but is boxed into a corner. Nobody, however, puts Ali K in a corner, now running a 2-1-3 scoreline.
Oh, I mean, I guess it's float like a butterfly, sting like, well, who the heck knows what Lucian's stinging like. He's got some bullets, though, in his inventory. Stand
United comes in, flash toward underneath turret. Ali K having to flash away, Form Rain going aggressive with the gold card, taking the damage from Third, who's going to secure himself a kill.
So, Third, not to be outdone, while I suppose he does have the straight 3s across the board. It has been complete to-the-wall action from both these teams, and a Herald might break up in the first turret of the game, importantly, for the side of Surrey. All this time, though, Ernst is still pushing top lane.
Still pushing top lane. It's probably going to be denied first turret at the rate this is going down on bottom half of the map. However, Surrey Stags are 2,000 gold down, need to replenish some of that gold deficit as we get closer and closer towards the 14-minute mark where turret plating will fall off. First turret is going to be secured. It's something of a race. It is a race that is won by the Surrey Stags by roughly a turret plate.
Roughly a plate, but still 4 solo to the side of this Jax. And it doesn't stop the fact that Jax plus Nidalee with a TF flying in, even if they are 0-5, is going to be a deadly combo. Probably going to have to see some QSSs coming out. I don't know really who wants to be buying that at this point, though. And that's going to be a problem for Surrey for them to figure out as the game goes on.
I do have some sad news, however, and that is Twilight missed out on a kill participation.
Oh,
so
no!
Only 9 of the 10 kills now. Oh,
but you see, but this actually works even better because the stat we had was 90% kill participation before 15.
Rigged!
Somehow I'm thinking there might be some ghosting of the stream going on. I have to check out on that.
Oh, you love it. And right now, I think Leicester, they'll love the fact they picked up an Ocean Dragon. It's revealed it will be a Cloud Soul this time around. Both of the teams are 3 dragons away from getting it. We're starting to see some mythics secured. Obviously, the Kraken Slayer already there. Furia gets Nova Pond, is trying to do everything they can on this tanky Shen. Not even close to tanky enough to deal with Trilab. However, as Ali K picks up that kill, a Shurima Shuffle, an Emperor's Divide, a box put down. Ernst left fleeing the scene. However, the kill comes in as Azir finds 1 and then immediately follows the Lantern. It's going to be Third trying to chase out Ernst in their own jungle. They keep getting spotted out. Here comes the center. Dodging away. Ernst trying to get out, but Easy Game GG steals this one away from their missed rival.
And Ernst just cannot help his mid laner. Fallen Rain falls once more for the 6th time. This Azir has punished him in the early game. The first plays, well, they didn't work out as cleanly as this Twisted Fate would have liked, and as much as Leicester have been so often in a winning side lane position, it's the mid lane which is really holding them back in this game.
We're getting close to Easter, Alex, and it's around about the season where I have to stop saying eggs in the basket quite so often because it becomes very, very noticeable. But there is a point to be made for this when you look towards Fearless, or are they Careless? Whichever of the Leicesters they are currently, they keep changing their name, and I love the name changes. Right now, we see 7 kills on Trilab. Yes, 3 kills on Ali K. The rest of the team, just the 1 between all of them. That includes a Jax, Ernst, who we expected to be so strong.
TF actually uses ult to get back into lane too, but yes, I mean, talking about, okay, who's strong on Careless coming into this, TF is not at that point yet, but the question is, can Jax and can Nidalee and can Lucian close the distance onto this Azir because he does outrange the entirety of this team, and Jax will need to make some distance in the top side.
Counter Strike dodged away from by third. Death Sentence will not connect. Leap Strike will get Ernst out to safety, and the 3-man diving unit in top side not able to find themselves a kill. The 2,000 gold lead we were looking at a minute or two ago has turned now around to 1,000 as we see an aggressive flash coming in. Hex Flash from deep, finding the stun onto third, trying to dodge away. Shields coming in. Stand United will be channeled. Fallen Rain will find the kill onto the Udyr, but now here comes Ekus doing great damage with the Sand Soldiers, but Deep has Lamborghini's number. Whoa. The kill will come through. Yet again, it's going to be, actually this time Leona takes the kill onto the center. Twisted Fate finishes off the fresh. Ekus is caught out by the Counter Strike, the Leap Strike, all the strikes. It's going to be a dead Azir.
It's a dead Azir. The Shen ult was channeled, but it did not complete because the target died. Hurry can't join the fight with a teleport, and this is one of the other things that we maybe flagged up and said this could be an issue. What happens when the fights happen so frequently that the Stags don't have an answer for one of them eventually? Leicester were losing out on a number of the most recent fights, but they finally take one and don't have the tools to answer them, and they come away with a huge share of the gold.
Was literally just saying how the 2,000 gold lead had been reduced to 1,000. Suddenly it's back up to sort of 2,500. 4,500 all of a sudden, and that is a big old chunk of gold.
3K swing from one fight because you've got the Lucian getting solo golden bot side, pushing in for the bot lane turret 2, and then having all of those kills picked up on top side. It's huge for Leicester. It's here for Careless. They're coming in. Now they have an Everfrost onto the Twisted Fate. That's important. If you land a gold card onto someone like third, well, they're going to get locked in place even longer, and that means that Nidalee gets to free fire at will, and that's not to say doesn't even entertain the fact that Lucian might be doing the same thing.
More or less every champion I play doesn't have any reason to ever buy Everfrost, so I hadn't actually picked up the item myself until recently playing an ARAM. I had no idea how low the cooldown is on that. You just get to throw it out whenever you want. It's pretty crazy.
It's like 20 to 30 seconds.
Yeah,
crazy.
I think it's 30. It's pretty nuts. And speaking of nuts, big play coming out of Ekus, catching Ali K underneath the opposition turret, trying to get away, but Chilling Smite will catch on. There's the bear stance. There's the shutdown. 4 kills now over to the Udyr.
There's a lot onto third, and there's a kill onto that strong Lucian. I'm talking about, okay, right. So there's a strong Nidalee. Jax is doing well in a side lane. Lucian is in and amongst the strong members of Leicester too. Yeah, well, so is Azir. You dash in, and, well, expect to get shuffled. Expect to have a lot of bursts coming out of the Leandries first. Deep now looking for a fight. That's an ult onto the center, but the Lantern gets him to safety.
Solar Flare would have probably been pretty useful, apart from the fact that we did just see the root catching on to Lucian. As a result, not going to see much of anything happen there. Second Herald of the game was secured by a Trilite. We've got another Dragon spawning in around about 5 seconds time. Vision now being fought over by these two teams. Still a close game, but it is completely fair to say that Leicester are the ones who have been more aggressive lately.
Aggressive, successful, well, that's the one which is kind of a contention now, because Sorry aren't getting cowed by this. They're not saying, no, we're not taking more fights, we'll just scale up. They're saying, actually, let's just make sure that we can keep taking these fights when we have the tools to. Let's not wait for Leicester to dictate the pace of this game. Leicester will take themselves the first Cloud Dragon spawned on this Cloud Rift, though, to them, and just the singular Dragon of, which is that Mountain Dragon. And, well, now we're left waiting for that next objective spawning.
Just as you were praising Surrey for that, we actually saw really nice rotations from Leicester. Popping the Herald down in mid, not only does that crash down that outer turret, but also buys all the time they need to secure that Dragon. Coming towards the 18-minute mark, and it does definitely feel like KLS have found their feet in this game, like they know exactly what they want to achieve. I still worry slightly that so much of this gold is on a very squishy Trilite. Yes, they have masses of execution damage, but if they get caught out by any of the any of the 5 champions who have significant CC for the Surrey Stags, could be a very, very dead Nidalee. Third stood on top of Ward, still going to be trying to find this play, but he's being collapsed upon. Teleport will come in, and suddenly it is a 4-man unit for KLS as they look to chase down the enemy.
That's a very fast TF.
It is indeed easy game. GG is going to find the play on the Fallen Rain, but he himself is caught out in his own jungle. The Sun Disc does nothing to stop the onrushing horde of KLS.
It does not, and TF, doesn't matter what score you put them at, they still have a gold card. Right now, they still have the Everfrost too. There is a very valid point talking about, okay, gold lead onto a Nidalee, that's not always where you want it in terms of late game carrying. But when you have so much CC to make them reliable at what they do, that's when it gets really scary for the side of Surrey. When you've got gold cards coming in, and I'd imagine we're going to see a fire cannon coming in from the TF2 for the long-range gold cards. And you also have Leona angling for stuns and roots too. Trilip and just those spears, probably enough to make an impact in these later fights.
Just before that fight broke out, Alex, I was touching on how Surrey Stags, they've got 5 champions, all with CC, capable of dealing with Nidalee, but the exact CC that you have just spoken about was what was all stacked to beautiful effect, paired with all of the global ultimates we could see coming out of the first the teleport, and then also the Destiny Gate. All of that just works out beautifully for Leicester, and now all of a sudden you've got this Nidalee, who, by the way, has 14 out of 16 kill percentage, just below the 90% that we have lauded so often in this game. But, 4 more kills until we get to 20, then we can talk about it. And actually, right now Nidalee's not dying, as evidenced by only the 1 death in this game, and that is going literally right back to that 2-for-2 skirmish around Scuttle in like the opening minutes of the game.
Yeah. So we've got the gold scores up on screen too, and yes, while we have talked about the Nidalee, not the furthest ahead of all the members in this game. That's actually belonging to the Jax and that top side, and that's largely because a lot of waves have been lost by Huria for taking that Ignite and not being able to stay within lane and farm up as confident as they would like to, because a lot of the players have gone onto that lane from Leicester when they've tried to go towards the Shen. We've seen it time and time again. And now that's led to Ernst in this familiar position, it feels like, of Leicester having that winning top laner once again. Doesn't have to be the Camille, doesn't have to be the Fiora, apparently.
Yeah, it's looking good. So much counter push will come through from that Jax. So it's one thing to have a Shen who can split push, but when it's going up against a Jax, it's not necessarily going to be doing so well in those trades as we get later and later. Baron, of course, has now spawned, so it becomes very important keeping an eye on the teleports, keeping an eye on the globals. One thing I'm sure that you mentioned earlier, but I missed out on the fact that Huria is running this Ignite as a result of having the Stand United available. This, of course, does mean once that Stand United is down, there is no potential for the teleporting back to lane.
Exactly, and that's meant that this 40 CS lead for Ernst, and part of that is because Surrey Stags have just been saying, all right, sure, the 4-man units are fighting, we'll teleport down with our Shen, we'll make sure he's roaming, and Ernst has been like, no, I'll take tower, thanks, that's what Jax does. Actually, it's one of the things which I love to do best on this champion. It's one of the strengths of that auto attacker. 2 items, Mythic of that Divine Sunder, and then the Blade the Ring King built up first 2. Needs that Shen, stands in that lane, doesn't have Ninja Tabby, and just feels awful about it.
Turret after turret, neutral objective after neutral objective seems to be falling in favour of Careless right now. They've built up a 6,000 gold lead over the Surrey Stags. Remember, this is a crucial match near the top of the table, deciding who are going to be the top couple of seeds coming into the double elimination knockout phase that we will be entering next week. Make sure that you are tuned in for that one next Wednesday, because the fantastic Brackish Brit and Melvin Izzle will be bringing you the first couple of rounds of our knockout phase as we go into the double elimination. Right now, the Baron has not only been started, but shredded through. Fresh will miss out with the Death Send and won't even be able to go in for an attempted steal. Trial up with the Smite, secures this one for all 5 members of Leicester.
Casual as you like, Hex Flash over the wall. Maybe everyone gets out from Callus. And sorry, have a lapse in vision. Leicester pounce, and much like the entirety of that game, because that's what Nidalee has been doing, pouncing about the place and getting kills galore, gets a kill onto that Baron, and a lot of that comes from Ernst pushing in that bot side, spotting out where third is, namely not on the top side of the map, and says, all right, this is free for us.
Well, right now, Jax getting slightly collapsed, unable to jump over the wall. The joys of the leap that can pop himself onto the ward. This Dragon's been immediately started up, but Ernst with the counter strike, he flashed himself right into the middle of 4 members of the opposition team, gets so much CC down. Fallen Rain trying to put damage down his Tri-Life, unsurprisingly, who finds himself yet another kill. Azir does find the shutdown on Fallen Rain, but Ernst is still pouring the damage out. Meanwhile, double kill for Tri-Life, looking for a potential triple double as we see Adike doing work on the Lucian as well. Eku's trying to survive, but is so far from home right now. Maybe tries to get over the wall to try and get towards the dragon, but that was a mistake. In the end, it's a delayed triple kill. It is an ace coming through to Leicester. They secure themselves the 3rd of their dragons and another 5 kills to boot. They'll probably even get an inhibitor.
Classic Careless game. You fight them at every opportunity, and they're just all too willing to do so. Problem with this right now is that Leicester have themselves an early Baron. If you lose a fight against a Baron, you don't have anyone to clear out waves. These waves become deadly daggers into your base. That's going to be mid lane turret going down, a bot lane turret going down, a 5,000 Baron gold power play, and Leicester just fly away with the gold lead this game.
I've watched The Truman Show about 100 times, one of my all-time favorite films, but today I have been watching The Tri-Life Show. The jungler from Careless running a 19 out of 21 kills scoreline right now.
Pace.
He's gone above the 90% now. What a player.
What a player, set up for success. This is a draft you know that Nidalee can succeed in. And while, of course, the Stags did hold it to them early, particularly with this Udyr being such a power pick in its own right, coming off to that scuttle fight in that top side, which was a lot of fireworks early on. This feels so much like a VCS game. Like I was saying that, I don't get a chance to talk. TF's going in again.
Destiny Kate gold card that's all going to connect on the opposition, but Lamborghini managed to take down Ford and Rain. Finally, a 5v4 play going in, but already this one's been turned around as Ali K throws down the culling. It's become a 4v4 in the very base of Surrey Stags as they try to fend the Careless, from their inhibitor, and they are not able to do so. Nexus turrets will not be under threat just yet, but let's not pretend for a moment that Careless are not the aggressors in this game, and they are doing it so well.
And it's not even like that's a huge shutdown. That's onto the TF, who's now 2-8. Sure, they've been involved in the kills, but they're not the member of Careless who have that gold bounty on their head. So sorry, lose themselves a turret, and they get themselves a 1-for-1. It's kind of trading down still, even in this case. Last of the Baron buff falls off from the Leicester squad, so they won't be able to take themselves another turret, but they've already crippled the map for Surrey.
I do agree with you that it was slightly trading down, but considering they weren't the ones who actually opted to pull the trigger on that fight, I feel like they did pretty well to get something out of it, to take down Fall and Rain before too many of their own members died. Third now trying to take away the Dragon, but Ernst gets in, throws down the counter-strike, gets out of dodge pretty quickly with a nice buff to his name. Another turret will go down. That's now 7-2 turrets in favour of Careless, and Surrey Stags, they are being put very much so up against the wall on this one. They are really struggling to get anything of a foothold.
You're looking at the dream team fight now for Surrey, because you want this Azir to be safe from the Nidalee. Well, you got to be safe whilst you're also looking at a TF trying to ult towards you with the Everfrost, and Leona trying to pin you down too, and this Azir still doesn't have flash. I severely doubt that Senna and Azir can carry an entire team fight when you look at just the sheer gold disparity of this game. It's a farming Senna, not going to have that huge range increase, so you don't have as much safe margin for that AD carry against the lower range comp diving in with the Jax and the Lucian or whatever you might see diving in from that side. And the Azir also needs to be kind of making the big shuffle plays. If he doesn't go in for those, I wonder if there's enough CC and burst to even take down singular members of Leicester.
The problem at the end of the day is if you go in for those plays, and regardless whether you make them or not, it's kind of hard to get out with your health bar intact, and suddenly Aku stops being able to put down the damage right through the fight, which has been something of an issue in this game. With only 1 minute and 20 seconds until the next Dragon spawns, which could be a Cloud Soul going over to Leicester, and only 1 minute and 5 seconds until the Baron spawns, which could be the objective which we see Careless need to finish off this game. The question is, what can Surrey Stags do?
What can they do? Pray for a mistake. That's what you got to do. Spear lands to cancel the back of third. It's not really that impactful. But Trial just running into the jungle and increasing this gold lead. It's 12,000 nearabouts for Careless coming in. And yeah, you're looking at this thinking it has to be a miracle team fight, and that isn't given to you off of your own play completely. It has to be someone stepping out of position. Yes, okay, maybe you can take 14,000 of that gold off by trying to take out one of these carries. Twisted Fate responding though immediately, going mid.
Third in all sorts of trouble as the gold card connects. Dawning Shadow will buy a bit of time. Third had the option of going for the Lantern, instead decided to go aggressive on Fallen Rain. He takes a huge chunk of damage. Deep arrives to throw down the Zenith Blade. The Stun Disc will be put down to find extra damage. And Fallen Rain gets completely caught out by Hurry with the taunt. Meanwhile, Ali K tries to dash in, tries to find himself a kill onto Lamborghini, but is unable to do so. Third, meanwhile, trying to chase down the Lucian, who has stepped too far. An overstep, a mistake has come from Careless, and all of a sudden, it's a 3-0 fight in favour of the Surrey Stags, just as the two crucial objectives spawn. Third, chasing down Perhaps this was a mistake from the Udyr, but he's got the support of Akus. Tri-Life's here as well. Hasn't died for so very long. Easy game. GG is able to find the hook on the Tri-Life. The stun connects, the taunt connects, everything hits Tri-Life. He still manages to flash and get over the wall. To find a kill onto Lamborghini. He's going to try and get over the wall. He hops to safety and a massive turnaround. Now, he's playing with fire with such a low health bar.
Ox is going to heal up off this wave. Okay, this is kind of what we're saying. Even when Surrey find themselves a quote-unquote opening, it's so dangerous for them. Multiple individuals from Careless can carry the back end of a fight. It starts with Lucian getting a little over-aggressive in that bot side, pushing up without the necessary support, and then Leicester don't really manage to recover from having that health bar taken down so early, even if it didn't come down to the fight. Even with that, Ali K dashes in, forces a flash out of Lamborghini, dies for the attempt. But yeah, sorry, hanging in there somehow, even against just this monstrous gold lead from Leicester.
Huge moments, and the one-handed wonder that is Hurrier came in pretty clutch with a couple of the taunts there. However, on the back of what started as a 3-0 fight to Surrey Stags, you have to raise the question of how they're not actually able to secure themselves any of the two objectives. Cloud Soul, already secured by Leicester. Now they are starting up the Baron, and this looks uncontested as well.
They can't walk up. There's no vision. You know that the Jax, if he gets into the back line, ruins your day. There's only one Emperor's Divide, and you don't have yourself even stuff like the Stand United or the Dawning Shadow available to respond to these team fights. They took one fight against the run of play, and even then, that got very close. Surrey now have to watch their cooldowns again and say, well, what are we waiting for now?
What are they waiting for now? Waiting out the storm at the moment, but it feels like a hurricane's brewing on the other side of this current typhoon that they are dealing with. Fallen Rain goes forward, and he's able to steal away some before Third is able to get the smite onto the old big chicken, but it's become a little bit of a game of chicken right now with these fights, because actually they're getting quite close as we approach late game. There might be an 11,000 gold lead, but Surrey have shown that actually, in the perfect storm, they still can win fights.
Somehow, some way. So now as Banshee is built up onto this Nidalee, of course that means that you've got the extra spell shield to go through. Jax stacking up a wave on that top side. This is what we need to see from Leicester now. How do you stack up waves and do it in tandem to make sure that there is no good response? Wave crashing in bot, crashing in top, not in mid lane though. That might give Surrey Stags the chance to approach one of these objectives, but actually they don't need a wave for that mid lane as they take down the inhibitor.
Inhibitor under threat. Inhibitor destroyed me on the top line. Ernx is just playing with his food. The Stags are turning into venison before our very eyes. Third trying to chase down Ali K, but unable to land the best slap. Now it's going to be the second inhibitor going down on top side. The Nexus will shortly be under fire.
Will be, that's two inhibitors, huge waves. Majority of the Baron buff left. Two. Have to see where the Miracle Engage can come from for Surrey, if at all this time, because they are staring down a loaded gun with the buckshot loaded.
Our red side team, they might have their doubters, but they couldn't care less. Ernx finds the kill onto third, and just like that, the final inhibitor will fall. Zenith Blade connecting onto Akus, I think, except my screen is frozen. Who knows what happened? Maybe Careless FF'd.
Maybe they FF'd. I would imagine that is just going to be various spectator bugs hitting us once more. I'm going to call it there. I'm sorry. I don't quite believe in the Miracle Engage from that point on.
I think that may have been game-ending play we were seeing coming through from KLS. If so, huge congratulations to them as they push themselves even further up in the standings. They
Level them at 7-3.
Yeah, they put themselves in a really, really good spot. So this does mean they can still secure potentially maybe second or third going into those final games.
That's what they'll be looking for, of course. I believe they might even be able to even up DMU at the top of the table were they to lose their final game at 8-3, if that were that to be the case. And of course, we will be seeing them just a bit. So this is what we were saying. Everything comes down to the wire. Everything gets very close coming into this phase of the split. We don't have individual teams completely storming through the league. This is a multiple team region and a university league. Everyone has things to play for.
I would ask you who the MVP was, but I think it was obvious in that game. So I'm going to say it, and it sounds like from Twitch chat, it's also a very happy birthday to Fallen Rain on the Twisted Fate 2 and 9. That's MVP worthy material as far as I'm concerned.
Lock in the gold card. It's hard to play in the game.
Whatsoever. Yeah, congratulations, Callus. Commiserations to Surrey Stags yet again, failing to get the win on the streamed game. Perhaps they will, they're almost certainly going to go into the knockout phase. Maybe if we cover them then, or our other fantastic casters do it there, they'll be able to break that jinx. Maybe that's it. Maybe they need to rename to Lamba Jinxie.
He did actually. He's actually not played a game of Jinx this split, and has played one game. He hasn't played a game of Jhin. Has played one game of Jinx. So, just saying.
Okay, all I know is that we've still got another terrific game that is coming your way later on today. We are going to be following DMUT1 as they go up against Cabbage Family, a rematch in the round robin phase of last Split's grand final. And my word, that was an insane series. This promises to be an incredible game. Please stick around because we'll be back for that game right after this break.
I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. But you were calling me a liar, 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 liar. Yeah, I've been putting in the hours, I was. And it's coming down to now and now and now and now and never. I was putting in the I was putting in the I was putting in the hours. I'm sick of fighting the things that you said. I don't wanna burn all our bridges ahead. I'm tired of going to bed when you left me on red just to turn up the noise in my head. I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. But you were calling me a liar.